Hi guys, welcome back to Tara Makes Up. Today I have a beautiful model, her name is Georgia. I'm going to do a makeup today that focuses on techniques and colours that will really work well for darker skin tones. I want to go through a few foundations as well that I also recommend in addition to what I'll be using on Georgia. I often get asked in my pro kit what I like to use on darker skin tones, and there's a couple of products that I've used for a long time. One of them for a really natural look on darker skin tones. I really love the Estee Lauder Invisible Foundation. It's a very watery fluid texture, so you have to shake it. You can hear as I move it. But this is lovely for a more natural look, and it gives quite, I'd say like a demi-matte finish to the skin that does dry, and this is a really beautiful finish. The second product I wanted to mention was Bobbi Brown, and that is their Long Wear Even Finish makeup. Again, I find Bobbi Brown has a really good range for darker skin tones and olive skin tones, and it's very varied shades, so they're really easy. And also because they have numbers, I always prefer it when foundations have numbers rather than names. It kind of makes it easier to kind of find maybe out of three which one you're most likely to be. So that's a really nice one for a little bit more coverage. And then for more heavy coverage or for an excellent concealer for dark spots or kind of pigmentation, if you've got kind of a mix of pigmentation within your skin tone, I really love the Kevyn Aucoin Central Skin Enhancer, which is kind of like a very thick cream. Now this is very high coverage, so you can use the tiniest bit for concealing, or you could kind of blend this out as a whole base if you felt you really needed that extra coverage. So that's one that I also really like in my pro kit. The makeup I'm using today on Georgia is the Charlotte Tilbury, the new one, the Magic Foundation, which I've been really loving at the minute. So I thought I would show this as it's a bit of a newer foundation that I've been using, and I'm really enjoying it in my kit. So I hope you guys like the look. So the first product I'm going to start with, guys, is the Charlotte Tilbury, the Magic Foundation. I'm going to use shade 11 on Beautiful Georgia today. And what I like about this is it kind of has more of a powdery finish, like a demi-matte finish. So it's a good one for kind of lasting throughout the day, and then you can just top up your nighttime makeup on top later. I'm going to start on the middle of Georgia's face, and I'm going to buff it outwards. And I think you just want to make sure with any skin tone you're working on, concentrate the coverage where you need the coverage. So if you're trying to even out skin pigmentation, they're the areas you want to focus on, and you just want to balance the skin. And just really evens out. I'm going to take what's left on the brush over the eyelids a bit as well, so that everything starts to blend in really beautifully. Just look to balance the skin tone, and that's the aim of foundation generally anyway. So for eyes, I'm going to use the Maybelline, the Nude eye palette. I think there's some amazing neutral eye palettes on the market now, especially kind of the lower end of the budget. So I'm going to use this, and again, there's a really nice mix of matte and shimmer shades. I want to keep the look quite goldy, quite plummy, so something, again, that sort of has a nudie feel, that when we take the look up later for evening, we can just darken the lash line and make it a little bit smokier. So I'm going to take this shade here first, one of the lighter ones, and I'm just going to run that over the eyelid. And this has got a little bit of sheen in, so it's just going to kind of open the eyelid up slightly. Just give a little pop. And I'm just doing like a wash of colour, and just blending kind of out to nothing. And then I'm going to go in with a more kind of taupey shade, so something a bit like this, but that's more matte. And I'm just going to take that through the crease of the eye, just to give a little bit of definition back. But again, the whole look is about keeping it quite nude, quite natural. So if you look straight ahead, you can just rest the brush into the crease and then just feather it through in small circular motions. And that's a really good way just to add that little bit of daytime definition. So I'm going to take this shade by Olivia Palermo with Ciate, which is a really beautiful pencil kohl liner in black. And I find this is really easy to blend. So I'm going to turn you that way a little bit for me, darling. Close your eyes. And I'm going to take that along the lash line. And this is such a smoky kohl, I find it blends literally like powder. So I'm taking that all the way along the lash line, thickening up a little bit on the outer corner. And this is just going to give us a nice bit of kind of daytime definition. So I'm going to take a Bobbi Brown eye smudge, and I'm just going to do just that. Just smudge it in a little bit so it has that nice smoky defined feel. For a nice daytime lash, I'm going to take a bit of the Showgirl Mascara by Barry M. Really affordable mascara, but I think this is a really nice one just for getting separation. So if you look right down for me, Georgia. So I'm just going to take that, give a nice bit of lift, and just add that separation and definition to the lashes. So moving on to brows, I'm going to take another drugstore favourite, which is by Soap and Glory, and it's the Archery 2-in-1 pencil. I'm going to give the brows a little bit of a groom, and I'm just going to add a few extra strokes to the brow and just round the arch a little bit. And I'm using the shade Hot Chocolate, which is really nice for a kind of natural brow on Georgia's skin tone. Just feathering through little strokes. Again, like I said, I want the brow to have quite a natural feel. So I'm just thickening up on the outer corner. So for concealer on Georgia, I'm going to use a bit of the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. Bobbi Brown also does amazing concealers for darker skin tones and olive skin tones as well. I'm going to mix the shades Dark 1 and Medium Dark 3. So one's a little bit darker and one has a little bit more yellow in. So I'm going to take the brighter one first to kind of brighten under the eyes. And I'm going to use a Real Techniques setting brush. So if you just look up for me. So I'm taking that around the eye area. A little bit lower than the actual directly under the eye, so you've got room for it to brighten without kind of going too close to the eye. And I'm just dabbing that in, taking a little bit around the nose as well. Again, I don't want it to be too contoured, this isn't Kim Kardashian tutorial. But you can just see that really gives a nice brightness under the eyes and just helps brighten. And I find this concealer to be really long lasting as well actually, so it does give it a nice long lasting finish. I'm just going to take an Artist Shop brush. I'm just taking very small amounts of product just to set down the middle. So for blusher, I just want to add a little bit of warmth to the skin, and I'm going to use this gorgeous colour by Lancome. This is in the shade Rose Paradis, and it's a really gorgeous bright pink. And like I said before, guys, if you've got a deeper skin tone, don't be afraid to take your colours that little bit brighter, and you'll actually can still create quite a natural finish. So I'm going to take one of the Bold Metals brushes by Real Techniques, and I'm just going to take a few little sweeps of that, and I like to take it off on the back of my hand first, and I'm just going to apply this to the apples. I don't really want to do too much contour or too much going on, I just want it to have that natural finish, but it's going to really complement the skin tone. I'm just adding a little bit on the cheeks. For lips, I'm going to take one of these gorgeous Rouge Eclat lipsticks by Clarins, and this is in the shade Chestnut Brown, which is going to look really beautiful and nice kind of neutral on Georgia. So I'm just taking a lip brush and I'm just going to apply that all over the lips. And it's quite a sheeny kind of sheer lipstick, but I think it's just going to give a nice little warmth back to the lips and a little bit of colour just to balance the look we've done. But I think it just gives a nice bit of shape to the lips. And again, it still has that kind of nudie feel for a nice nudie finish. And so that's the look for the natural look, guys. So again, it's all quite tonal, goes really well with your top, Georgia. We've kind of gone for those like minky plums. There's a little bit of kind of golden brown in there as well, mixed with greige, but I think this would be perfect for kind of the office or for daytime. And it's a nice way to do a kind of quick look with your makeup that's quite simple. And again, you can adapt it. So now I'm going to show you how to take it up a notch for kind of more evening or maybe a party look, just by using the same tones, but going that little bit deeper. So first thing I'm going to do is go back to my Olivia Palermo pencil by Ciate. So if you look up for me, Georgia. So tiggly bit, don't worry if your eyes water. I'm going to take this now along the waterline, and I'm going to smudge it out this time. So it's a little bit darker, a little bit smokier. And this is just such a good pencil for smudging. I find it works so well. Just really has kind of like a nice powdery blendable finish. And I'm going to smudge that along the bottom lash line, so that it comes more towards the top line now to join, and we start to get a more kind of feline shape. Take that brush and just run it over so it starts to smudge. And again, I'm going to take the black, that little bit more intense this time, but still smudging it in as I go along, because I want to keep that nice smudgy feel. So next shadow I'm going to use now, just to make it that little bit warmer brown and a bit more sparkly, is this one in the Maybelline palette. So I'm going to take that again on a MAC 224, and it's a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, and a bit more chocolatey. So if you close for me. So I'm going to take that. It still has a nice kind of shimmer in though, which is nice, as you can see when I put it onto the eyelid. And I'm also going to mix it with this one, which is a little bit more kind of yellowy gold. I'm just taking the more yellowy gold kind of into the centre. So going back to that blender brush, you can just tap a bit off the excess if you feel like there's a bit of fall down. And I'm just going to use that now just to build up that lash line and again create that smokiness a little bit. And then you want to keep your 224 brush to hand and just buff and blend as well. So if you just look to the camera for me, Georgia, you can see it starts to get a little bit more smoky. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of the Tanya Burr eyelashes. These are the half sets, which I really think are really amazing, actually. I think if in doubt with lashes, half sets always look that little bit more natural, really fluttery, and they're very comfortable to wear as well, because you kind of have the Invisiband and you don't have anything touching like the inner corner of your eye. So I find you want to kind of follow your natural lash line, place it almost in the middle, and then you want to tuck each kind of corner inwards. And you just want to blend it in with your natural lash line. And then for cheeks this time, for kind of a nighttime finish, I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Sculpt and Highlight, and this is actually for medium to darker skin tones anyway, so it's got a really nice kind of peachy highlighter and the Sculpt shade. So I'm going to take the Sculpt shade and just add a bit of warmth to the skin, and I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury brush for that, my Sculpt powder brush. So I'm just going to take the Sculpt shade, and I'm just going to use that into the hollows a little bit. Turn the other way for me, Dave. And it's quite bronzy anyway, so even if the contour is a little bit too light for your skin tone, it's better to kind of use it as more of a bronzer to warm. And then I'm going to take the highlight shade and I'm just going to apply that to the tops of the cheekbones. Turn the other way for me, Dave. Just to give a little bit more sheen and highlight. And to finish on lips, I'm going to go slightly nude with the lip now, and I'm going to take MAC Fresh Brew, which is a really nice kind of nude tone, perfect for darker skin tones. So I'm just going to go over what we did earlier. Like I said, this is more of a kind of nudie tone lipstick. Turn that way a bit for my toe. And it's really nice even over the top of the one we've already done, so you get a little bit of colour coming through. But this is definitely more of a kind of nude tone, I would say. And it's a luster finish lipstick as well, so it's not too heavy, it's not too opaque. You can still kind of get that balmy feel with this. And again, you can use your fingers just to blot it all in. But that's pretty much the finished look, guys. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Thank you, lovely Georgia, for lending me your face. Make sure you at me in @HarryMakesUp across all my socials if you're recreating the looks. I love seeing you guys recreate the looks. And make sure you subscribe and like, and I'll see you soon for more videos, guys. Thanks very much. Bye.